Hey friends, welcome back to Nikki T Live. Just working out in the open, co-working. I'm working on our StarSearch feature that we released recently. We had a product hunt. For folks who aren't familiar with OpenSauced, I'm just gonna drop a link that folks can check out if they're interested. And let me just go check the chat real quick. I'm just gonna go pop this over on Twitter because you can't use streaming software like Restream or StreamYard to post there. So folks are interested in open source, this is the website. And also, if you're interested in contributing or just checking out the project, it is on GitHub. So just pop that over there too. Let's see if I can do that over on LinkedIn. Okay, cool. Um, LinkedIn is a weird beast for live streaming, I find. I've had to, I don't know what the issue is. Like, I spoke to their support, so I got to turn my music down a bit. I know you all can't hear it, but I don't want to get busted for licensing issues, so I just listen to Spotify on my own here. Feel free to put your own tunes on if you are co-working. So yeah, so the weird thing is like, so let me come over here. I don't want it to make noise. That's not where I want to go. It's never really obvious. Like here, like if I come over here, there is a chat here, and then I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna go paste it. Now, just remember, this is my own live stream, and I'm gonna go post a message, and I get an error all the time, failed to post comment. So if you are listening on LinkedIn Live, I don't think as many people do, but if you do, I'll see your messages. I just can't respond in LinkedIn Live, so I'll just probably answer on stream. If there are links that I think are important, though, I'll pop them in the actual comments of the event post. Okay, so yeah, so we've got some stuff here going on. Let me load up StarSearch. Just give it a second here. It's a little slower because it's dev environment, but so if you aren't familiar with StarSearch, we've coined it as Copilot, but for Git history, and so you can ask stuff of repositories on GitHub. So for example, here I can say like, show me the lottery factor for the contributors in the Remix Run React router project. Now, if you've never heard of the lottery factor, I'll just let this finish. But the lottery factor is there's worse names for it. People used to say bus factor. I think they still do, but it literally means what happens to this project if somebody got hit by a bus, which is terrible. So people kind of moved away from that, and now it's more. I think more people are just calling it lottery factor or lotto factor. So it kind of plays out a little nicer. What would happen to this project, for example, if Mark Dalgleish, I don't know how to say his last name actually, but what would happen if he won the lottery and he's like, yeah, I'm done with React Router? Would that put the project in jeopardy, or would it still be like smooth sailing? And uh, and again, these aren't. Don't think of these as a score. Like, don't think of this as React Router has these scores of 30%, 10, 10, 5. It's really just information to give you a gauge on the project. So for example, if we do another one, so show me the lottery factor of, I always forget, what is it? Hold on a sec, let's go to the app on prod, and let's go for analog JS. Okay, it's analog JS analog. Okay, so analog JS slash analog, and we're gonna run this here. And if you're not familiar with the analog project, this is actually shamelessly plugging for my coworker Brandon Roberts, but this is a meta framework for Angular that got really popular in, I guess, in the past couple years. Pretty much the amount I can't remember when he started working on it, but if you look at this, the lottery factor, it's very high. And again, it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Like there could be different ways you interpret this. So like say you're evaluating a library you want to use and it has like a high or very high lotto factor, you might be like, I don't know, maybe we won't use that dependency. But again, context matters. And again, it's informational. It doesn't mean high means you should absolutely not use this. So looking at this one, like I just know this because I know Brandon, and most people that are familiar with this project understand why it's high. Brandon's the creator of the project and has probably put most of the work into it. But again, it's not a bad thing. There are other people contributing, obviously, but this could be an indicator for, I don't know, think about like there's lots of companies that do give money to open source. So like, who knows? Maybe somebody like I know Sentry gives a lot of money to open source. So say they're just looking and they happen to be, I'm just making up a scenario here, but say they said, hey, oh, we're interested in analog. Let's, or I have heard about analog. What's the lottery factor of it? And they see this and they go, oh, this is like a really great project, but the lottery factor is pretty high. Maybe we could fund the project and get more contributors or, so there's many ways you can slice it and dice it. And you can definitely ask different things as well. Um, but just wanted to show you that because um, we released this, we had a product launch, I think it was 2 weeks ago now. Went really well. But I'm refactoring this now because we have this other feature called workspaces. So if we come to workspaces, and I'm just gonna check the chat for a second. Not much going on, but let's go check the Twitterverse. Cool. All right. So we have this concept of workspaces. Now, a workspace, think of it as a place where you can house, and there might be more things in the future, but for now, think of it a place where you can house repositories that you care about, or you want to know stuff about certain contributors, so you want to track contributors. So for example, if we go, this is my own workspace. Let's go to like OpenSauced. So this is our team's workspace, and these are our projects, and we also have like, okay, there's no contributor insights there. Let's just test, but oh, that's because I'm on my local host. That's why. But regardless, you can think of this as a place like I'm interested in all these repositories, and I want to kind of have a dashboard to see what's going on with things here. So looking at open source projects, we can see like, and again, this is like a sum of all of them, but you can see like, oh, a bunch of pull requests open, a bunch merged. Like that's a pretty good ratio. 208 open, 207 merged. Again, these are just some statistics to give you like a high level of what's going on. And then you also have over here engagement. So you have stars and forks, and then you have this activity ratio. And again, don't think of activity ratio like the lotto factor. Like I was saying, it's not a score. It's just a metric that gives you information. Low doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. So like, for example, think about like some very stable projects and maybe they're literally feature complete or maybe it's very rare they get a new feature. They're going to have low activity because it's stable and people are happy with the state of it. So again, that doesn't mean it's a bad thing, but again, this is an indicator. And as somebody that comes into a project and like here, this is our team, so like we care to see what's going on here. Again, this is on localhost, so this is like dev data, but um, think about a larger company like say like a Microsoft or like Sentry, and they have open source program offices or OSPOs. They kind of want to keep a ear to the ground or an eye on all the projects because in a large organization, you don't always know everything that's going on. Like I worked at Autodesk at one point, and Autodesk is like 60,000 employees, I think. And so I highly doubt, they know all the ongoings of all the projects and open source can be even wildly different because these could be open source projects for the company, but you could also have like people in your company contributing to external projects and open source. So like Again, it's just a place to house all these things you care about is kind of the way I would elevator pitch it, I guess. That said, we're planning on bringing in StarSearch, which is what you saw there before on over here. So I'm in the process of refactoring this. So I've currently made it its own component now so that I'll be able to pop it into workspaces. And I'm just kind of continuing on the refactoring of that. So that's what I've been doing this morning. And I got to say, one thing I'm really happy about, and it took a while to write them, but I have a bunch of end-to-end tests for StarSearch, and I've been refactoring and then just running it, and everything's passing. So, and obviously I'm testing it manually too, because there could be visual regressions potentially. We don't have visual testing in place right now. Um, that's a whole other ball game. But I've been very confident since I started working on this like late yesterday afternoon and this morning again, and I'm feeling super confident as I change things, pulling out stuff. I do a bit of refactoring and then I go and run the tests again. And yeah, so you can see here 48 tests out of 48 passed. That's not all for StarSearch. We have other end-to-end tests. And there's also, we do have some unit tests too, obviously. Um, but let's see here. Oh, hey, Adrian. Sorry, I missed your chat message there. It's 4 p.m. Started at 6 a.m. Still have paths I can't migrate. I hope it works better for you. Oh, okay. Oh, you're having issues migrating your org, you mean, or I'm not sure what you're getting at there. Just let me know in the chat. But Idrinth, who's in the chat, works on a project called API Workbench. How's it go? What's it called again? API Workbench, right? Oh, at work, I'm migrating between different path structures. Oh, okay, gotcha. What's your project again, Idrinth? I know it's API Workbench, but I don't know the URL. Do you wanna just shamelessly plug it, drop it in the chat there, and I can just pop it on the big screen? And speaking of which, I got to get you on the live stream at some point, and we can talk about the project because I haven't really looked at it, but I have an idea of what it is. But all right, cool. So we got it here. So let's check out. All right, so we got, yeah, Idrinth's API bench. Sorry. So this is a project. If you're interested, check it out. He dropped it in the chat. And I know he does have a workspace on OpenSauced for this stuff. I don't know the link at the moment. Oh, 2 weeks off starting Monday. You're free. Cool. I'll have to check my stream schedule because I'm booked pretty much until August. Like I'm also off for a bit in July and August, so I'm sure we'll figure something out. But drop me a message on Discord later, and we can figure something out. Cool. All right, so yeah, so like I was saying, I've just been refactoring this. Like the StarSearch is working well, but we're moving fast at OpenSauce, not in a bad way. Just like we're shipping tons of stuff, and I was super okay with just having this all in the one file to begin with. It's all good. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Having like a bunch of components in one file. Some people will be like staunch about staunch like it absolutely must be like one component per one file, and I think that's kind of BS or bullshit. This is not a kid stream, so I can say bullshit, I guess. But oh, there's a workspace. Okay, cool. Let's open it up here. So this is a real workspace. This is not on my dev environment. So this is the API workbench. And you can see here, there's stuff that Idrinth cares about. So these are basically all his org repositories he brought in. And you can create your own as well if you do have to sign up to OpenSauced, obviously, but it's not too bad. It's just your GitHub login, and everything we're showing this is all public repositories. We don't show private repositories or anything, so don't worry about like, oh, I created an account and all of a sudden all my private repos are popping up and people can access them. That's not happening. But okay, so let's look at workbench here. I'm just curious. StarSearch. It's called framework. So let's go. What's the lotto factor for? I saw one of the projects framework. I'm guessing this is gonna have a high lotto factor because this is your project, Idrinth. Um, okay, there was an error retrieving at Indrit API bench. It looks like. Wait, did I type it in wrong? Hold on a sec. Okay, and I'm just gonna mark this because this keeps repeating. Oh, it recovered. Okay, so what happened is it uh, StarSearch had an error, then it tried to recover, and then it finally was able to pull some stuff up. So let's see what it says here. It looks like okay, still some trouble, but uh, fetch some info. So there's some recent pull requests to the project. Okay, this is interesting. I'm gonna give this a thumbs down for feedback, and not just so this can help us figure it out. If you are using StarSearch, there's the thumbs up and thumbs down. Let us know if like the answers that it got were good or you thought they were decent. It's helpful for us to improve the product. Okay, so I don't know what went on there, but anyways, let's get back to localhost so I don't start debugging on production and completely forget that I'm on production and wondering why my changes aren't happening. Okay, cool. Let's just check over. Just checking the chat on LinkedIn. Oh, okay, just a job update comment. All right. Just gonna say thank you to somebody. Okay, cool. All right, let's get back to it. All right. Okay. So yeah, so I've just been refactoring stuff. I already committed some of it, but I'm just breaking this all up, and because it was like huge wall of text, and I was starting to have a hard time grokking it. So I've moved some stuff. So like we've got like a star search header. The star search loader was there before, but we have this widget component, and I can kind of talk about that briefly too. So, typically you have textual responses from things, and there's stuff like the Vercel AI SDK, which allows you to stream in components and stuff. And we looked at that briefly, but we're not using, oh yeah, no worries, Adrian. You know, we're not using app router right now. We're not using, so we're not using React server components right now. We're on Next.js, but we're using the pages router still. So, um, I've done something I don't know. I don't see it as often. At least maybe people are using it often, but what I've noticed is people aren't leveraging dynamic imports as much as they could or should maybe. So, for example, here, so when we say show me the lottery factor, what's happening here is this is going to our StarSearch API, and it's returning some data, and then we're formatting the data so it can look good on the screen. This whole part here is textual, but the top part here is, well, okay, well, there's some other dynamic stuff going on in there, which I can talk about, but basically we're getting some responses here, and let me open up the dev tools because this will maybe tell the story a little better, and I'll zoom this in. Okay, so let's start that again. So let's just clear, and I'm gonna say, go get me the lotto factor again here. Now we're gonna see the stream here, and then all of a sudden you're gonna see an event stream pop up here shortly. Where is it? Why did it not show up there? Oh, there we go. Okay, so I'll try and zoom it in a bit more just so you can see. So yeah, that's like massive, but I think this will help folks see it. Yeah, that should be good. Maybe just give it a stretch over a bit more here. Okay. So basically we have server sent events coming. This is a web standard. And so we have these messages coming in, and basically it's got some information coming in. It's a JSON payload. It's coming as text, but it is a JSON payload. And like if we look at the actual response, sorry, this is what it looks like. Um, that was just a nice view in the event stream. But basically, this is streaming events that come in. So we get like ID1, then we have this data, and then we have this is a JSON payload that we're gonna parse. And uh, this stuff's just pretty standard, I guess, like an ID, who's it coming from. Manager in our context just means StarSearch, like the service. You got a timestamp, and then you have this content. The content's what we care about. So we're going to look at a few things here. So you're going to see here, the first one says type, and it's function underscore call for the type. And then it's got parts here, and then it's got, this is like JSON in here, but you're going to see it says name, render, lotto factor, and then there's some arguments. And so basically what's happening here is in the code, when I'm getting these events coming in, if I see that the type is function call, I know that that potentially means a dynamic component needs to be loaded. So coming back to this one here, it goes, okay, it's a function call, so potential candidate to be a dynamic component, and or sorry, a widget, or like just enriched UI, however you want to call it. And I'm gonna go, okay, so the name is render lotto factor. So for me, that signals, okay, I need to render a lotto factor component. And then there's the arguments here. And the arguments essentially translate to props in React because we're using Next.js, which is React. So essentially, uh, if we look for this and come in the code, just zoom in here, boom, boom, boom. Okay, it's been moved now, but okay. So yeah, so basically we have this component registry, which I'll talk about briefly, but essentially we want to load that widget, comes in, so we've got the name, so this is called render lotto factor. We have this switch case, and it goes, okay, hey, how's it going, Charles? Good to see you, my man. So we have a switch case here, and it goes, okay, render lotto factor. Oh, okay. I need the lottery factor widget. And it does a dynamic import of that and then stores it in this component registry, which sounds like super fancy and stuff, but it's literally just a JavaScript map. So the string is the name of the component to render, or the signal of what to render. So render lotto factor in this case would be the string, which is the key. And then the React.component type any is the actual component that gets imported. Now, people always talk about TypeScript like, oh, any's bad, but in this case, hey, violated sign, good to see you, my man. In this case, any's fine because we honestly don't know what type of React component is going to get loaded. So this still gives us strict typing, but loose in the sense that like we know we're getting a React component. We just at runtime we don't know what it is. So when it goes to compile these at build time, this is good enough. And so yeah, so I was mentioning because there's a few folks that just joined. I don't think people are leveraging dynamic imports as much in JavaScript. I'm generalizing there. I just haven't seen it done a lot. Next.js has their like dynamic function that you can run, which does a dynamic import, but it does it at like build. Uh, yeah, is it at build time? I think it might do it at, yeah, not at build time, but it, yeah, no, because you have to load the component. Yeah, it's either, well, it could be at runtime too, but it always loads it. And so in this case, we could have maybe done something similar here, but I'm just using like native dynamic import. So a dynamic import in JavaScript is using async await. And the reason why I think it's a good idea here is because I have one widget that we load dynamically right now, the lottery factor widget here. But at some point, we're going to have more and more dynamic things, right? And so, like, let's just say, I don't know if we'll have that many, but like, say we get to 100 widgets. If I wasn't dynamically importing them, every time we go to StarSearch to load it up, it would literally load 100 components, which would be a terrible experience because that'd be a massive payload. And this way, you're only loading them as you need them. So when it says like, hey, I need a lotto factor widget, okay, go get it. And it comes back. But then later on, when I go say again later, I need to render a lotto factor. It's already in my component registry, which, like I said, is sounds fancy, but it's literally just a JavaScript map here. This is TypeScript, obviously, but so it's typed. But that's kind of like the special sauce of embedding particular components. And so, like I was saying, um, yeah, see, the dynamic imports, it's on the client side for sure. It's super important. This is something I did at Dev 2 as well when I worked there. So uh, a great example of this is a modal. So, and like a rich modal, we were using Preact over there, but whatever you're using, Vue, React, Svelte, whatever, you have a modal, you typically have like a rich modal as opposed to the usual like OK, alert, or confirm that's native in the browser. And uh, basically, think about a modal. Like say there's like a confirm for like, are you sure you want to delete your account or do some particular action? What if that person never actually does that action? Like there's no point on loading any of that JavaScript. And I'm definitely not pro like no JavaScript or anti JavaScript. I'm a big fan of JavaScript, but I think, and I'm definitely not alone in this, but only load what you need. I think that's the mantra. And so like, say for example, I never delete my account, you know, what's the point of even loading all that? Hey, how's it going, Tejas? Thanks for joining on LinkedIn. I get a few people commenting from LinkedIn sometimes. I was mentioning Tejas that even though it's my own live stream, I can't comment on my own live stream on LinkedIn. I've talked to their support before. Their solution is you clear your browser cookies, like you're just basically all the app data for LinkedIn, then you log back in. And I've done that twice now, and it works for like one message. But basically, what happens is I go to post a message and it says failed to post message. So basically, if you are on LinkedIn, like I said, I'll see your questions or your comments, but I'm just gonna answer on stream instead of typing because I literally can't send a message on LinkedIn Live. Violated sign saying, I think it is a DNS redirect issue, but dynamic imports might be useful in the future. Uh, so your first big project went live last night. As I was cringing at Modema was slow, showing 2 to 3 seconds on average for web page load. De Depends. Like I don't know exactly what you're loading. Like you do typically want super fast loading pages, and if they're data heavy, if you can offload that to the client, like that's typically what we do. We get a shell, and we still have page performance issues that we need to improve, but the the usual recipe is server side render the minimal amount of stuff that you need, and that could also be for SEO as well. And then because we're always showing a lot of data, it just makes sense to load that on the client side. Like we're loading like tons of information about repositories, issues, users, and stuff. And you also have to remember, like, we're running in a serverless context, so you only have a finite amount of time to run as well. So there's that too. Um, but um, but yeah, getting back to the dynamic imports, um, like let's say I have 100 widgets over time that we're gonna render in here. It makes absolutely no sense to load all of them every time you go to the StarSearch page or wherever the StarSearch component is. So this is where dynamic imports come into play. And Next.js is using Webpack under the hood. So Webpack is handling this. So like this won't be the actual import that happens when you're running it in production. It's going to be, it's going to create a separate JavaScript bundle for this dynamic import. And then there's going to be this mapping in Webpack that just knows where to pull it from and stuff. Um, but basically that way, like, you know, sure there could be a bottleneck at some point, like say my switch case is 1,000 lines maybe, but You know, I I don't foresee us having like 1,000 widgets, honestly. And if for at some point we realize, like going the dynamic import on the client side is no longer cutting the mustard, we could move to a server side streaming in components potentially using something like the Vercel AI SDK. But right now it's not necessary. And like I was mentioning, because you joined just recently, Tejas, we're using Next.js, but we're using the Pages router still, so we don't have app router anywhere. We don't have basically yeah, we're not using React Server components because there's no app router. Violated Signs asking, is there a downside to using a dynamic import? There is a potential downside. I mean, like anything, the network. So like you go to dynamically import it and it fails. So you won't be able to pull it in. Uh, I think the dynamic import will always be there because of your bundler, whether that's like Webpack or TurboPack or Vite. It'll bundle those things appropriately. But there is a possibility, like classic, I don't know, say you're going through a tunnel and you lose your internet connection, the import's gonna fail. What I do in that case, but if that happens too, though, like other things are probably going to break on your site. So I think putting something in place to handle when that happens, and I do have that here right now. So the way I've treated this, and I was talking to the team about this, is like if we come back to the actual page here, and I'll go ahead and close the dev tools now. But like, um, you know, displaying the lottery factor widget here is definitely helpful. It adds more context. But let's say it failed. Basically, for whatever reason it fails, I just capture the error and then I log it, and then we don't crash the page. We basically just don't render that area, like that particular chat message. But then the textual stuff happens. So you're still getting a good answer. You're just not getting an enriched answer potentially. So that's why I made the decision to just log it to, like, we're using Sentry, so I'll log it to Sentry to say like something happened, but I just don't render it because there's no point in my mind saying like, okay, we said show me the lottery factor, and then if you see the next message here and it says failed to load lottery factor component, sure, it tells them it didn't load, but I don't think it gives any value to a user. So I think just failing, not showing it, logging it to wherever your observability is makes more sense, and then you still have the textual stuff that happens. The other thing I want to mention about this here is if we come back to okay, I lost it now, but um, where did it go? Oh, and I just closed it. Yeah, okay, let's do that. Let's go back. So let's run this again here. And all right, you get to see the mobile view. Um, okay. Yeah. I think it's like anything, right? Violated sign, like, you know, there's always going to be a non-deterministic thing about your app, which is probably the network. You can't guarantee it's going to work. There's other things you could do, like maybe put in a service worker and stuff. And again, like I said, you could make a decision to say just showing the message saying failed to load that component. I just don't think in our scenario it adds any value, really. So let's run this again here, and let's go. We'll do the lotto. Well, it doesn't really matter which one. Let's say, what pull requests has Brandon been working on? So we have this stream here again, and you're getting these responses coming in. Um, so side note, if you're using server sent events, uh, when you go into the dev tools for that particular endpoint, you'll get this event stream tab show up, and it just gives you a nice tabular view of it. But we're gonna go to the raw one here. And I just want to show it for a second because as you can see, the this part here, like this is the textual part, but it's formatted and stuff. And the way we're doing that is let's look at the last message here. Just give it a sec. Okay, I'll just copy it to the screen. Let's go to VS Code. So this is the last message, and basically, so as I was mentioning, for the server send events, you get an ID, colon, some number, then you get data colon, some text. We're, like I said, sending a JSON payload or JSON. I say JSON, JSON too much. Anyways, don't worry, man. Enjoy the stand up. Thanks for popping by, Idrinth. Always good to have you on. So you can see here, like the actual content. So we were saying for the lotto factor component rendering, its type is its content. Uh, where is it? Type final parts. Yeah, yeah. So the type was function call for when it's a dynamic component, but other cases it's just text. And so we can see here, this is literally markdown we're returning. I'll hear from, yeah, like this is all markdown. So we need to make that look good. So we're using remark to render this markdown so you get some nice HTML. But there's some niceties that you can add to this. So remember, and this adds to the dynamicism of the stream and response, but it's great again to get this textual information and it's formatted, but we're able to detect when it's a user from GitHub. And we have this component called avatar hover card. And so I added that so that you can, when it streams in and it finds any links that are actual users, I add an avatar hover card beside it. And again, this adds to like enriching the experience. Like it's still fine just getting text, but like why not show more if you can? And the way we're able to do that is if we come over here and StarSearch chat, avatar, hover card, where is it? Oh no, it's in chat box. I've been refactoring this morning. So yeah, so we're using the markdown component from Remark. We've got some plugins that you can use, and they have this section called components. Sorry, prop, not sections. And what you can do here is basically any element that comes in. So for example, an anchor tag, we can say like, okay, for an anchor tag, it's going to get the prop. This is the markdown component handling this, but basically the props in this case would be like the href, which is the URL to my coworker Brandon's profile on OpenSauced. And so like, if I didn't have this, and actually I cannot, let me show this. I'm just going to change this to something else temporarily. Okay, or you know what? Let's just make it marquee. Okay, that's no longer supported. That's true. Okay, let's do, you know what? I'm just gonna comment it out for a second to show you the difference of what happens here. There. Okay, we're good. So now we're gonna rerun this. Or re-rendered. You see, all of a sudden those avatar hover cards disappeared. If I just let me close dev tools, so you can see there's no longer a hover card there. So what happens is when it goes to render an element, like a HTML element in the markdown, at this point it's treating it like JSX. I think the way Remark is doing it is it gets the markdown and I think it converts it into an AST, like an abstract syntax tree, and then you're able to access the, and I think that's how they do it. And then however they do it, they know that, okay, this particular piece I'm parsing in the markdown, it's an anchor tag, and I know what the props are, like href, for example. So what I'm doing here is, okay, so if the type of props children is string, and the props children starts with @ so that basically means the link text is like, for example, @Brandon T. Roberts. I know, and that this is a naive assumption, but I know this is how we work based on the responses we return right now. In the future, if we need to improve what that check is, we can do that. But the assumption here is, okay, I am a link that is a user, and then I'm going to say, okay, so in that case, I'm going to enrich the UI, and I'm going to say, return that avatar hover card, and also the link, which is the at Brandon T. Roberts. But if this case doesn't match, just do business as usual and return an anchor tag with its learnable props. And then when we come back here, you're going to see, boom, it should, I don't know if it'll rerun. Let me save that. Yeah, I might have to rerun it. Like if I do this again, just checking that I'm not on production. No, I'm localhost. Okay. Da, 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 da. Okay, so it's running slower, but okay, I think I changed something. Let me undo it. StarSearch chat. I could have sworn I did change it, but let's see here. Okay, I did something. But basically what I'm getting at is even the markdown that we're sending back, if we have cues on what this thing is, like for example, repository, uh, analog.js/analog, if we return something here to like make it super clear that this 100% is a repository, I could convert that into a link, for example. That's just one example. All right. Well, I don't know what I did with the anchor tags, but I think I might have to refresh the page or something. But not going to worry about it right now because that's not really what I'm working on. Just kind of wanted to give a rundown of like this how all those things work. Um, because people see stuff like this and they're like, oh my god, that looks so complicated and or potentially complicated. Obviously, you need to know in this particular case how to use React and know a few things, but I don't think it's as intimidating as people think. Um, maybe if it's the first, maybe if you're just starting off in tech, maybe for sure. But I think if you're, you know, at least have a year or two experience, I think you could. This should be approachable. Hydration error, interesting. I think my thing just refreshed, maybe. Okay, let's look at. I'm gonna take note of that because I gotta fix that. Just save that for later. Let me just put this in my notes. 1 second. All right. I think I'm gonna have to switch headphones. It's hot here today, and I'm starting to get sweaty ears. So give me 1 second here. Yeah, I think that's the thing. I don't know. It's not a cocky thing, but the way you worded that is it's totally right. Like I think people sell themselves short, or they take themselves out of the game before they're even in it. Not to do a sports analogy, but I just did. Um, I don't know. I think you just gotta dig into things like that. This is like the one skill that I think will stay with you your whole career is if you can learn to learn or, just dig into stuff, do that due diligence. Like you go through that whole phase of like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Your brain's hurting. And then when it clicks, it's, such a satisfying thing when you're like, I finally understand what's going on. Um, but anyways, um, yeah, see, that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's the thing. I think no, I'm not gonna generalize, but I think people like I don't know. This is like I've been telling people this like it's a tough job market. I know, but like I think people don't want to hear this necessarily, but you got to put in the time. Like I'm all for work-life balance, but I've tweeted about this before or talked about it in like my virtual coffee community, but like I'd be hypocritical if I said like, just promoting work-life balance when in fact like I did not have a lot of work-life balance for like a big chunk of my career, but because I was, you know, grinding, putting in the time and stuff, and I still don't always have work-life balance now, but like, you know, I just try to I don't know. The way I treat it, like, I mean, remote work for me is definitely a game changer because, like I can work out whenever I want to do. I set up a gym during the pandemic here, but I used to go to the gym, but, like take a break, you know, go for a walk, go do other things, but like early on, like I used to like just stare at the screen and like, just keep trying to push through something and it's easy to say in hindsight now, but nowadays it's like when something's not jiving for me, I'm just like, all right, I'm just gonna go sit down on the sofa for a little bit, or I'm gonna go for a walk, and then I just start thinking about it, and then it clicks. Again, maybe not always, but anyways, random thoughts of the day, I guess. But that's the thing, like yeah, it's hard, and I know everybody's situation is different too, but like I put in a lot of time so that, I still learn stuff all the time, but like there's like a baseline of stuff that like I never even think about because it's more instinctual. Like I mean, I'm primarily doing JavaScript or TypeScript, but there's just a lot of stuff. It's like I typically don't have to think about it because it's like you've done these things so many times, but there's still hard problems and new things to learn, but like yeah, it's just honestly, one thing I gotta say too is like when I started live streaming, like when I was working at Dev 2, just talking through things like I've been trying to explain things here, that's been super rewarding for me because it forces me to explain myself, and like, it's not always perfect, but anyways, I'm all over the place today. But it is hot here today. I have a fan on, but it's not hot, I should say right now. It's just very humid. And but the thing about putting in the time, like people say, don't grind and all that stuff. And I get the sentiment, but I always equate it to other things like I love playing basketball and I mean I still love basketball, but like I put in so much time like jumping. Like I used to be able to grab a basketball rim, like a regulation basketball rim. I couldn't dunk, but like to give some context, because neither of you've ever met me, I'm only 5'7", and I was jumping like all the time. I bought these books when you could buy like out of the back of like a fitness magazine. They would sell stuff. I bought this book on jumping, this book on like how to get better at dribbling. Basically becoming ambidextrous. I still brush my teeth with my left hand, even though I'm right-handed. But my point is nothing to do with Shark King. Yeah, yeah, Spiderweb, Muggsy Bogues. For those who know. But my point is, like, I put in all that time and you'd probably never hear anybody say like, "Oh, why, you know, that's not healthy, you shouldn't put all that time into basketball," or like somebody who wants to learn guitar, like people spend hours and hours, or even video games. I like video games, I just don't have time to play them a lot, but like people play hours and hours and hours to get good at the game. Like I don't see it being any different learning, stuff. It's just because it's got work attached to it that people think it's a bad thing, but I don't know. You don't get better at things by just not doing anything. So, anyways, it's like I think it's a hard pill to swallow for people sometimes, and I think also like all the boot camps that came out, there are some good ones, but like, the promises of like 6 weeks and you'll get paid 100K and or whatever, I'm just spitballing here. That's not necessarily an accurate representation of some of the boot camps, but like I don't know. There's nothing replaces putting in the time. Is that I could have just said that and that that would have been enough. Anyways, um, cool, cool. I'll get off my mini soapbox. All right, let me just check something over here. Cool. All right, all right, that's all good. Oh, actual activity on oh, that's just Tejas from LinkedIn before. Okay, cool. All right. So yeah, so like I was saying, I've just been refactoring stuff, pulling apart stuff. And it's been a lot easier to do this because I've already written all these end-to-end tests and ensure that things are working. So it's just giving me like huge confidence to just move fast and refactor these things. So where was I? Okay, so I'm gonna shrink this down a bit and let's close this. Let's close the sidebar. So yeah, so there's a StarSearch header. Okay, that one I did. The nice thing too about componentizing things too is like it helps you decouple the things. So like especially if you want to test something later, or you like if you're using something like Storybook to show your components. Yeah, you replace games with coding, so it just feels like I'm yeah, like I feel silly, but it's like not silly, but I have my work computer, but then like when I'm done for the day in the evening, like I'll typically work out, go for a walk or something, and then in the evening I'll open up my old computer and just, start tinkering with stuff. Like I'm learning a bunch of stuff about uh, prompt engineering right now, and then I'm going to be digging into some more AI stuff. And I, it's stuff I want to do, and it's definitely going to be helpful, I think. And just got to put in that time. So, all right. So let's see what else I have in here that I can pull apart. And again, you don't necessarily have to like take everything out and like literally break it up into a billion pieces, but like even the component registry, like I'm contemplating pulling it out. It's not much though. It's the update component registry, and then that's pretty much it. I might do that, but we'll see. See, like there's this get shared prompt URL, and this is the new feature I did here. So if you run this, I'll just show you what this relates to. So it's gonna run. And yeah, for folks in the chat, violated sign is gonna be hanging on the stream with me. I think is it June 27th? I can't remember. Yeah, as like violated sign was saying, they're self-taught. He worked in music production, I believe, and is doing software development now. So I don't know. I think it's gonna be a cool conversation, and because he worked in music production, he knows a thing or two about audio compression, and gonna help me out making sure my audio compression is good for my stream. So that's super appreciated. Okay, so the share prompt URL, that's a new thing. So that's this share button down here, or share menu, I should say. And there's three options now. So like say I go share to Twitter, it opens up Twitter, and then this isn't going to render an open graph image because this is a local host, but essentially that's what these are here. And um, I could have sworn there was more in there. Get shared prompt URL. Maybe it's not that one. It's another part. I know what it is. It's getting these ones here. Um, so this is the logic to actually build the share URLs, and I'm contemplating just pulling that out. But we'll see. Maybe not. I don't have to right now, but that's the prompt analytics, the registering the feedback. Okay. Um, Add prompt input. I'm just trying to see if there's anything in there. This doesn't actually have to live in the component, this function. If we passed in the form, then that wouldn't be necessary. But again, I'm not gonna slice and dice everything. Let's see here. I think like so this part I can show you. So this is like where's the stream that comes in? Okay, yeah. So we make a API call up here. So this is where we get the StarSearch stream here. And this is what was giving that stream response with the IDs and all that stuff. And that's where we just handle all this. So, you know, if it didn't work well, then we just say there was an error and then we stop. But if it does work, we basically read the streaming response and then you get this readable stream basically. So that's what this get reader is. And then you just basically loop, and then as you go through each one, when it's done, it's actually going to have, like, it always returns a value, and it also returns whether it's done or not. So when it's done, we know just to exit out of the loop. And I'm actually just looking at this. While true, done, if done, blah, blah, blah. I feel like this, oh no, I can't put it up there. Yeah, okay. Anyways, it keeps going. And then we split things up. So like I was showing you, there was that ID and value, so, or ID and data. So we're literally just splitting it. So like, if it starts with ID, we skip that one because we don't care about that one. Then we go to the next line in the payload. If it starts with data colon, then we know that's going to be our data. And we have some information here just explaining what's going on here. And we're going to literally just do a regular expression to say, grab the result, which is literally /s, which means empty space, or white space, sorry. And then we grab everything after it. And this is actually, this here is a named capture. So you can actually access it later in the regular expression groups and say like regex.groups.result. And this just makes it easy. It's more readable. Maybe not necessary with a regular expression that just, this one's pretty simple. It just literally says get everything. But if you have more complex regular expressions where like the result could come from different scenarios, it's handy. And you might end up also having different name capture groups. Yeah, regex. This is a really good book, actually. If people read books still. This one here, regular expressions by, who's it by again? Jeffrey Friedel. This book was a game changer for me for regular expressions. Um, just there was yeah, a book. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, a book. Yeah, it's I'm sure you can get an e-reader format, or I'm sure somebody's blogged about it, or there's I'm sure there's a whatchamacallit, sure there's ebooks about it. Side note, I know you're not at Appright anymore, Vincent, but I just got this from Appright yesterday. I don't know if you can see that. The Apprighter keyboard. Um, anyways, I think that's you, Vincent, right? Um, yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I got it. It was from when I talked at your launch there, talking about the different JavaScript runtimes. I think it took a while to write. I forgot it. They actually sent it. Ed Diatta told me they were going to send one. I should do an unboxing, I guess. But won't do that right now. But it's nice. I was like, it came yesterday. I was like, I have no idea what this is. So I have a feeling that one of my daughters is going to steal it off me, though. But we'll see. We'll see. I'll put up a fight. Yeah, so when that data comes in, it's just parsing it, you know, a bit of regular expressions. If nothing's matched, we just don't do anything. And then from here, um, basically, we're getting the result, and then we're doing a parse of the result. You do have to, typically casting in TypeScript or like C# or whatever language, you don't want to cast normally, because you're basically saying like, I don't care what this is, but I'm telling you this is what it is. And that might not always be the case. But in the case of JSON, unless you're using something like TS reset from Matt Pocock's Total TypeScript, uh, JSON.parse is it's not a generic, so you can't say like JSON.parse StarSearch payload. Um, if you're doing APIs though and stuff, like typically you'll have something yeah, there's CSS reset. I don't know about a JS reset, but there's a TypeScript reset now. I'll show it to you. Here, TS reset. There we go. I'll drop that in the chat. It is good actually. The thing is, it might not work in some cases depending on what's in your project already. Okay, oddly enough, I need to log into the chat. Okay, hold on a sec. Give me 1 second here. I was seeing all the chat and then I went to go add a comment and then it said I needed to log in. So let's try that again. All right, I'm just gonna log in here. Hold on a sec. I am logged into the chat elsewhere. It's let's see. Hold on a sec. Let's just switch to this view for a sec. Not sure where my 1Password is gonna open. So, all right. Well, let's go to the Google's. 2 seconds here. Where's my Google? Nikki T. There we go. Just get my password. Oh, my restream password actually. Boom. Paste, and let's copy that. Log in. ReCAPTCHA, stairs, verify. Okay, let's paste that in. ReCAPTCHA is so terrible. Good idea, but okay, let's get back to, lost my thing here. There we go. Let's bring that back. Okay, cool. Let's go back to pairing view. Yeah, so there's this TS reset. So let me go grab it again. I'll just paste it in here. Yeah. It's an interesting project. He also has a good VS Code extension if you're newer to TypeScript. I forget what it's called, but it's like you can learn and so like basically when you'll get like a blue squiggly instead of a red squiggly and it'll say like you'll hover over that particular TypeScript thing in VS Code and it'll explain what it is and then you can say mark is learned. Must be in here as well. Let's see, where is it? Zod patterns. Okay, I'm not sure where it is, but there's a VS Code extension. Actually, VS Code total TypeScript. There it is. This one. So if you want to learn about TypeScript, if you're not as familiar with it, I'd suggest checking out these two. And I'll go drop these over on Twitter too. For the LinkedIn folks, I can't comment on my LinkedIn live stream for some reason. So anyways, yeah, so let's pop this in total TypeScript extension for VS Code. And let me grab what happened to the other one. Did I not post the other one? I could have sworn I did. Uh, Maybe it disappeared. Let's post this one. This is total TypeScript TS reset. Did I not? I could have sworn I posted that. Oh, you know what? It's because it's a weird thing. So I'm logged into Restream, which is what I'm using to stream to multiple platforms. And in OBS, it's not just the Restream thing, but a lot of things you can't Command V or Control V to paste. You have to right click paste. And that's why it didn't pop in. So here it is again. Okay. Anyways, I digress. All right. Let's see here. And I'm just going to switch to this view for a sec because I forget what screen my Slack is on. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's on my main screen. So I just got to take it off put it on the other screen just because I just have to check in on work for a second here. All right. Let me see what's going on. Right. General. Cool. Nothing major going on in Slackland. That's fine. Cool. Cool. Let's get back to it. Oh, that's weird. It says no stream title, no guest. I could have sworn I updated that info. Let me refresh that. Is it really not doing that? Let me check my overlay. Yeah. Oh, no, it did up. Did it update it? Oh, yeah, it did update it now. Okay, cool. There's some magic behind them. Behind the drapes. What is it? Behind the curtains. Most of the stuff on my stream here that you see, like the co-working Nikki T Live, that's all a web page. And then the chat is a web page that's embedded. So, and then like stuff like the confetti here, that's all JavaScript and some HTML, CSS. And let's throw in a little Nacho Libre there. There's also, I haven't put these up in a while, but like when I was first starting to like tweak my stream a bit, I added all these things so you can move stuff around on the screen. So there's like a donut, there's like a lobster, a poop emoji, and what's the other one? I don't know if you can move the unicorn. But basically, if you want to move any of these around, you'd say like, for example, unicorn. You have to do exclamation unicorn. You could say up, and you'll see it move up the screen. So I leave that to all of you to move stuff around if you want to. So we can do, for example, donut, left, and the only one that this one is poop dash. We can go right. That should move. And the only one that's not obvious is the lobster is called Todd, from Todd Libby, so we can do up. So feel free to move those around if you want. And I think for subscribers, there's like a curling rock up top there. You should hear it saying sweep. Anyways, I don't show these things too often anymore because people really weren't using them, so I'm just gonna clear up my screen though. Let's do this. All right, cool. There isn't, but you know what? That would be a good add to it. Yes, we do have a very mature audience. The let's see, the confetti's supposed to be random emojis, so it was clowns before. Yeah, now it's just like smiling ones. There's one where it does multiple, but and then what else? I forget what the lemon here does. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's a. These are just animated GIFs that show up. GIFs, and cool beans. This is a good one. And then, like I said, the Nacho Libre. And you want to put the poop emoji? You can't commit. You can copy paste it. Violated sign, but feel free to do that. We could always you know what, maybe not today, but like we could do that on another stream. Can just start adding to it. It's in this project actually. Actually, if you want to do a PR, actually, what's the URL again? Let's see here. Sources. Oh yeah, it's stream chat interactions. That's what it is. What's the URL again? Hold on. Okay, yeah. So if you wanted to try it, like if people go to this URL and you open that in your browser, why are my chat messages not showing up? Should be posting it. Are you all seeing the chat messages that I'm sending there? Why didn't it send it? Let me try it over here. Okay, oh, okay, I see what's happening. The chat messages I send in there. Yeah, yeah. No, I just realized what's going on. The restream chat doesn't show my own messages when I paste them. That makes sense, I guess. Um, but yeah, so this is the project. So it's just this page called chat interactions. And so like, for example, I can hide my alpaca if I say alpaca hide, and you're going to see it hide on the actual web page I have open, but also in my stream. And it just changes what's on his head or what he's drinking. So if we go like that, it's like for like 10 seconds, I think. But anyways, if you're curious about that project, I'm pretty sure, I don't think it's a private repo. If it is, I'll make it unprivate. But um, Nikki T overlay. Okay. Oh no, it's public. I'm gonna move this into overlays eventually, but if you want to check it out here, feel free to throw up a PR. It's actually just, it's vanilla JavaScript. I'll probably rework this, maybe using Astro or something, but there's that one. And if you're curious about the overlays, um, that's here. Oh, this one I did convert. I can check that out too. Cool. All right. So like I said, you know what? I feel like I got nerds night. Yeah, no, we're not gonna do it today. We'll work on moving the poop emoji another day. Cool, cool, cool. All right, so totally got sidetracked. Not a bad thing. Let's make sure I'm on localhost. Okay, so yeah, so like I was saying, this is just the logic to handle how we like decide what the type of messages and what we're gonna send and stuff. Okay, that's all fine. This header, that's there. Oh, hey, thanks for the follow, Vincent. Do you prefer Vincent or when? And I wasn't sure. Is it when Ye or is Ye your middle name or part of your last name? Hey Esther, how you doing? Esty, sorry. I know you prefer Esty. Good to see you. Cool, cool, cool. That's nice to see some people popping in from X. I know people watch on X or Twitter, but people rarely comment on X. At least I've noticed that. But I also don't have like a huge following like Primeagen, so maybe people are constantly dropping comments on X and his streams. But okay, so yeah, so the chat is the big part here. That's this whole thing here. See, like, I don't know if I think the drop downs could be this could actually be pulled out. So if we close this whole thing, yeah, I would call this the share menu component. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a new component, drop down, open, drop down. Okay, let's do this. Yeah, we'll call it share menu. So we'll say new file, share menu.tsx, boom, export function, and let's come over here. So I'm gonna copy this whole thing and we'll just call this share menu. Oh, yep, that's a good call potentially. I don't know if that's completely right, but we will see. I'll leave it at that for now, but okay, let's come over here and then we'll just call share menu. So this is a component and we're going to return that JSX I just pasted, and it's obviously not going to find a lot of those things. So let's go up to the top here. Let's grab the imports that are no longer in here. And this one makes sense to pull out because this share menu might want to be used elsewhere. Uh, okay, so let's pull this. Boom. Let's pop this over here. Oh yeah, YouTube's better. Yeah, I think YouTube's pretty solid. I started off in Twitch land and still don't have like massive Twitch following either, but that's where I started, and then I started streaming to YouTube as well. Um, I think for interactions, typically Twitch seems good for like people chatting a lot more. But I mean, YouTube does chat too. I just shook my desk and now my camera's floating all over the place. I also just realized like, no, that's good. Cool. Yeah, that's true. The thing I'd like to do at some point is do YouTube content, but like right now the live streams like this one, or if I have a guest on, they just end up there. But I'd like to do some polished YouTube content at some point, but it's just takes more time and I don't really have that time right now. So that's why live streaming, one, I like live streaming, but also I just find it takes less time. So let's put this in here. All right, so just pulling in some stuff over here. All right, use state, boom. All right, so yeah, so you can see here, there's a Twitter share, LinkedIn share, so that is correct. So let's add those props. So let's create some props here. Interface, share menu props. I don't need the prompt message string. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I even have a podcast, believe it or not, Esty. But it's essentially I edited like when I have a live stream where it's more like there's not live coding really. It's just like a guest talking about something, and definitely not a lot of people watching listening to my podcast. But I haven't published one in like a year because it just takes too much time. And then I was wondering maybe I should just not edit it and just post it. I don't know. Anyways, I digress. So Twitter share URL. That's right. LinkedIn share URL. It's good. Okay. And we want to make this share menu props. And we need to include these. Whoops, what did I just do there? Now, the good thing, you joined us, I don't know when you joined SD, but I have all these end-to-end tests in place already. So basically, I feel really confident when I'm making all these changes right now. Yeah, I was using Descript all the time to before I was streaming to YouTube along with Twitch and all that. I used to upload my Twitch streams to YouTube and I would edit them. And then at one point I was like, it's a live stream. I don't really need to be editing these. If I took out clips, I might edit them sometimes, but now that I just stream to all the platforms, I never edit a live stream, obviously. But Descript is really good. I also used it to just pull out, like created some blog posts based on the transcriptions from Descript and stuff, and it's a pretty solid product. Okay, so let's come back here. What did I call this? Share menu. Okay. Or you know what? We'll call this prompt share menu. Yeah. To share prompt menu. Just to give it a more precise name. Okay, and then what is it? Find share menu. Okay, so this is share prompt menu. Let's just auto import. Boom. Okay. Cannot find name share menu. Okay, Twitter URL. String undefined. Okay, yeah, sure. That's true. LinkedIn URL string undefined. We don't need a prompt message there. Okay, what is it not liking? Twitter URL string undefined LinkedIn is not assignable to type intrinsics. probably on type share menu props. Did I not put that? Twitter. Oh, I put share URL, LinkedIn URL. Okay, let's go. Boom, Twitter URL. No, I did that. And LinkedIn URL. Let's put that there. Let's just update these. So there should be Twitter URL, LinkedIn URL. Oh, okay, I gotta go get missing some icons. All right, there. I can auto import these, but I'm just being a little lazy. StarSearch prompt menu. Let's put them over here. Boom. Don't need that one. That's right. Cool. All right. That's good. Now if we look for share prompt menu, there we go. Okay, what is it not like now? Oh yeah. Okay, that's fine. It's because they might not be. Actually, what we can do is, well, there's two things we could do. If prompt message and Twitter share URL and linked and share URL, do this or null. So then we're guaranteed, because there's no point. This is not going to render anyway. Like, this is useless to render if we don't have these links. So there's that. Okay, cool. I'm going to be back in 1 minute. I'm going to go brew a coffee, let it go and brew, and then I'll go back and get it in a bit. How much messages do you store in the chat history for StarSearch? That is a great question, SD. We right now, this is future work. It's in flight. I know people have been asking about having history because like you don't see your history right now. So that's something we're looking into. It's kind of table stakes, I think, because like you use something like Chat GPT or Gemini or Claude, you have like your past messages or prompts that you ask with the responses. So can't say when that's landing, but that's some feedback we got for obvious reasons, I think, because it's people are expecting those kinds of things. So yeah, there's that. Okay. Yeah, so it depends. Sometimes um the reason why is because sometimes you can end up with weird scenarios where it actually will render false. Like if you did that and this could actually render as false sometimes. like your page would say false. And um what's going on here? Why is it not doing it? Prompt message. It's a weird like undo thing that doesn't work sometimes on in VS Code. Okay. Yeah, the main reason is yeah, it could render false sometimes. I've seen this happen before. This also happens with class names. So like say you were to do something like this. Let's just assume for a second here. This is a template string. And then you did something like this. You add in a thing and like some class name. And like let's say that some class name gets set sometime. So like I don't know, when it's open, it has like an open class, and that's what some class name is called. But if it doesn't get set and this code runs, you're gonna see it won't break anything because unless you have a CSS class called undefined, but it will actually render undefined text the text. So that's why like um just it's something I've noticed sometimes, and people have opinions about ternaries and JSX too, but I think it's fine as long as you don't use it like nest ternary. Having said that, I have done that before, but it's just harder to read basically. This to me is pretty clear. If this is true, render that, otherwise null. And that's another thing I noticed when for some people who started out with React is they would say like return an empty string or something, and you don't need to do that. You just return null, and that's fine. It won't break if you return like an empty string, but it's just not necessary. Um, yeah, and you don't. Yeah, and before we had fragments, so for those who don't work in React, maybe this is a fragment, or you can actually type fragment. Um, you the reason why you use this is because like say you have div and like yo, and then you had two divs. Like say your component you wanted to return two things, you used to have to do this. You'd have to wrap it in an unnecessary div, which adds extra markup to your application, which you don't need, and it could even cause issues. So now that you have fragments, you can literally just say like, I want to return those two divs, but wrap it in a fragment, and the fragment is just it never renders like on the page. I think it gets just converted to an array, so this is just becomes an array of divs in this particular case. Um, cool. I will be back in 1 minute. I'm gonna go brew a coffee, like I said. Hold tight, and then I'll be back in like, yeah, we'll see, 60 seconds maybe. Let's see. Be back shortly. All right, and back. Cool. Coffee is brewing, so I will go up again in like 3 minutes to go grab it. But okay, yeah. So we want the share prompt menu. Okay, we got all the props here. Okay, yeah, we want to get that particular URL. On click, drop down menu item, prompt. Okay, that's why okay, so this should be copy link URL maybe. Or let's see, share prompt. No, let's just call it prompt link. It sounds good, I think. And then shorten. What did I do wrong here? Let's put it back to what it was. Oh, that's what I did wrong. Okay, so copy link. Prompt URL. Yeah, I'll rename it if not. Let's do prompt URL string. Let's pass that in here. This is the beauty of composing components. You can just pass in the prompt URL. So then we'll do here. Then we'll say get shared prompt URL. And then prompt message. And then what is it not like here? Type URL or was that? Oh, that's returning a URL, really? Hold on a sec. Okay, if not prompt message return, so it's URL or undefined, okay. Else return it. You know what? Let's just make this a string, so boom. Or I could do toString, I guess. No, let's just do that. Okay, and then let's see here. Prompt URL equals prompt URL. And then let's see here. That's the prompt message. Yeah, I guess we can call it a second time, I guess, but let's see here. Maybe I'll refactor that after, but so this is get shared prompt URL message stringer undefined, stringer undefined. Yeah, I think we should maybe promote that. So let's go to this. Okay, that's fine here. So prompt URL, boom, boom, boom. Da, da, da. If you don't want to expose an API key when working in a open source or public repo, you have them as environment variables. You know, you can store those in. It depends where you want to use them, but like, for example, um, is it this one? Yeah, here. Gonna open up this .env. I think. Actually, wait. I want to check before I open that. Let me go back just to my face for a second here, and this should just be the sample.env, but p.env. Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's come back here. So this is an environment file on my local. This is the one that comes in our project. Two things. One, there's this, it's from a project called .env, this VS Code extension, but you can basically toggle things. And basically, if you're doing local development, you probably want to have your own .env file. But if you're using a service like Netlify, for example, or doesn't have to be Netlify, I think Vercel does this too, or wherever you're deploying to, like you always want to be reading from environment variables. So like, for example, NTL, which is Netlify CLI, I can do list the environment variables. Oh, I think I switched node versions. Hold on. Okay. Well, I don't really need to show it, but basically keep okay, well, if you are using Netlify, then I can show you. So you can do this in the UI in Netlify. There's an environment variables section, and you can actually have the environment variables for different environments. So like production, maybe deployment branches. Okay, so this is installed. Uh, the CLI is Netlify, but there's also NTL, and when I work there, everybody just uses NTL. So I'm gonna just initialize my project because it should be initialized already, but okay. So uh, basically that's our site and stuff. Clear. But now I can do NTL env list. Now this isn't gonna show the keys values, but these are things that are in our environment that you'll see within the project. And you know what? I'll just go to my own project. Just not that there's anything to hide on the OpenSauced stuff, but you know, it is work. I don't want to necessarily show something I didn't mean to. Okay, let's here. So this is my streaming site. This is NikkiT.live. If folks haven't seen this. So this is an Astro site, and I use Airtable, and I connect to YouTube as well to bring in stuff. Anyways, also I gotta post this. Gonna be hanging with Shock on Monday. For folks interested, I'll just go ahead and drop that in here. Paste. Boom. That's what's going on Monday. But anyways, if we come back to the site, so if you have the Netlify CLI, which is handy if you want to do this locally SC. So you do, once you've initialized the project, and initializing the project, all that does is it says connect my local development environment with my actual deployed site. Oh, thanks. So you can run this command ntl or netlify env:list, and then just give it a second, I guess. So you can see here, it shows the environment variables that I use in my app. Now I'm not afraid is not the word. I'm not afraid, or I don't care that I'm showing these two key names because they're actually in the open source code. But what I won't show is, it says show values. I'm not going to show the values, but basically you could set a value here as well. So you can say ntl env set st, and I don't know if that's how you spell your shortened name. And then you can give it a value, yo, and then it's going to set that environment variable. And it says it set it in all contexts, meaning like production, deployment previews, etc. Oh, st. Okay, gotcha. So now if I do ntl env list, my project actually has that new value there. And I can do ntl env, is it delete? St. Yes, I want to delete it. Oh, I wrote end, not env. Is it delete or remove? I can't remember. All right, there we go. So now if I do ntl env list, and then I just have the two again. Now that sets the environment variable, but if you want to actually, oh yeah, no problem, SC. Now the thing is, that sets them for Netlify, like for your deployments and stuff. But if you want to use those keys locally, you have to use the NTL, the Netlify development server. So you run NTL dev or Netlify dev, and what this does is it starts your app like normal, but you see it says it injected all the variables here. And this is a nice experience then, because then you don't have to have this local.env. It just injects them. And you can see now when I run it, I can load things and it's using Airtable. And I'll show you the difference. So like if I just run this normally, like just astro dev, so nr is just npm run for me, and I do nr dev, it's still gonna load the site. But now if I go to localhost, what is it, 4321? Yeah. I think this page will load because I'm not using an API key to get the YouTube videos. But if I go to the schedule, it's going to give an error now. And it says missing required environment variables. And that's because I'm not using the Netlify dev server. And if you're using Vercel as well, it's a similar experience. I haven't used it in a while. But that's the idea, kind of. So, and this is me. I throw an error when those aren't set. So if you are going to use those environment variables that you set in Netlify for different environments, you have to run the Netlify dev server locally. Otherwise, you do something like a .env file, which is totally valid too. It's just, again, don't expose that. Don't commit those. And if you want to avoid committing those, you should have in your git ignore. And you see here, this is in the git ignore, and that prevents you from accidentally committing those files. So there's that too. Cool. All right, well, I think I'm gonna wrap up here for now. Man, I think I've been going for like a couple hours now. Anyways, my coffee's ready. It's been fun. Thanks for all the conversation. Yeah, if you have any questions about that SC, let me know. And everybody else, like I said, live stream on Monday with Shock. Check that out. And yeah, enjoy the weekend or whatever you're doing. Enjoy the rest of your day. And we'll see you next week.